Hey there, I'm Theresa Lear Levine, and this week we're going to do some EFT tapping together based on some feedback that I got when I polled my free Skool community, which you can totally join if you're not a member yet, on what they wanted me to work on with them. So I think that's always a valuable opportunity to shift some energy, move some blocks, and create some transformation together. So a few of the things that got described in the conversation in the chat when I put this post up were things like the outer and the inner noise that other ADHD entrepreneurs experience, that like waiting for timers to go off, planning, feeling like you're on edge for the next thing that you're going to have to manage, maybe even the guilt of working, of not being home, not doing enough, worrying if your decisions are going to be the right decisions. Speaking of timers going off, I don't know if my audio caught that. There was one for me. Um, and then also there was some topics coming up around visibility, feeling embarrassed when you're acknowledged, and also some things around rejection, RSD, rejection sensitivity. Um, and then also trusting yourself. So I looked at all of these different things together, and I'm always interested. I mean, as an ADHDer myself, I think one of my gifts is being able to see patterns. It's how I often help my clients, right? I help them see that pattern that they keep living over and over again and then unravel it and rebuild it so that they can embody a different outcome. So I'm looking through all these things like, do I pick one? Do I pick all? I'm like, I don't really need to like narrow it down a whole lot because um, so often it has become the same thing. Which is that like every one of those things that were brought up in the conversation is what it feels like when your own signal kind of goes quiet or gets muted or gets disregarded. So here's how this tends to run for us ADHD entrepreneurs specifically. You've probably spent a long time being told that your read on things was a little bit off. Okay. Maybe you were told that you were too much. Maybe you were told that you were too sensitive. So oftentimes we end up kind of building these different workarounds and trying to help that in the way that we relate to other people, right? We learn to scan the room. There can be a certain amount of hypervigilance. It's a great skill, really. It's been very protective and helpful in certain scenarios, I'm sure, for every one of us that has developed that. And we recalibrate based on those things. And it makes us very perceptive. But it also means that at some point, you stop treating your own knowledge as evidence. Okay. So now the decisions start to pile up and you're not really making them and you're kind of auditing them against everyone else's kind of imagined opinion that's in your head. Okay. Maybe you notice that somebody's tone is a little bit different when they respond to you, and it can take your whole afternoon to recalibrate from the perception that you have. Okay. And then if you have some good feedback that comes in, then you have a hard time really receiving that, a hard time really letting that in, because letting it be true would mean that you have to be more visible, right? And that's usually for most of us where criticism or negative feedback have come from at other times. So all examples of how a nervous system has kind of learned other people's reactions were information that it needed in order to stay safe. Okay. Always really interesting what our nervous system is doing with these patterns that seem like so simple or surface level. There's a lot of depth to them. And that's what we're going to tap on today. Okay. So get somewhere where you feel comfortable speaking this out loud and, tapping the different tapping points, and we will get started. I always like to start with a question that you can rate so that you can kind of get an idea of like, where do I actually sit with what we're doing? And then we can see what shifts. I'm also going to get some water because, well, hydrating is important. Energy is more easily conducted when we're hydrated than when we're dehydrated. And the whole point of doing an EFT tapping round is to move the energy that's blocked, because the source of any dis-ease we have, whether that is dis-ease around visibility or, frustration around these different things, resistance, avoidance, whatever, it's an energy block. So let's fuel the energy moving by being hydrated. Right. When you think about trusting your own read on something without checking it against everybody's reaction or perceived or imagined reaction first, how hard or uncomfortable does that feel to you? 0 to 10. If you have something that you can actually think about that you're working through right now and it's a real life example, even better. Okay? Don't overthink it. Take the first number that shows up and just write it down, hold on to it. And I'm going to love seeing this in comments later. I'm going to want to see where you started, where you ended, and like what resonated or came through for you. Okay. So let's start side of the hand. This is the karate chop point. The rest of the points I'll just move through. You'll do what I do. Follow the leader. Simon says, however you want to look at it. All right. Okay. Repeat after me. Even though there is so much noise in my life right now, inside, outside, I can't hear my own signal anymore. I've started treating everyone else's read like it is more reliable than my own. I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I run almost every decision past someone else's imagined reaction before I'll let myself trust it. And I've been calling that being careful. I acknowledge how much sense this has made to me for so long. And even though being seen for my actual work makes me want to go quiet, I would sooner deflect a compliment than receive it fully or recognize it as true. I'm open to something different. All this noise, planning, the timers, the next thing that I am supposed to somehow stay on top of. And the guilt that runs underneath all of it. I'm not doing enough for anyone, including myself. This low grade worry that is with me all the time. Like I'm about to get something wrong. I'm about to make a bad decision again. So here I am checking in with everybody because it feels like their opinion or their take on it is safer or more reliable than my own. And boy, when somebody's tone shifts, I notice it. I read into it. It affects my whole day. I have been reading rooms since I was very little. It's something I have gotten very good at. And when somebody sees me or the work that I'm doing clearly, I want to shut down or go quiet, change the subject, shrink it. Somewhere in all of this, I stopped being able to hear myself. I got disconnected. What if all this noise was never proof that I can't trust myself? What if it's just proof of how freaking loud it's been in here for so long? My system learned so early that I needed the information from other people's reactions just to survive. And it did keep me safe once or many times. but it is exhausting me now. All the times that I knew something and I talked myself out of it, and then I just watched it play out exactly the way I knew it would. What if the thing I keep overriding is the actual signal? Maybe the noise in my life doesn't need to completely quiet or turn off before I can hear myself. Maybe I just have to turn toward the quieter voice on purpose. I'm allowed to have my own take on this. And I'm allowed to be wrong sometimes and still be worth trusting. Other people's reactions can be information, but they don't have to be a verdict. And I can let someone see my work, see me. And I can let their words be true. I can make my next decision from my own knowing instead of someone else's imagined opinion. Just choosing to trust myself today in some small, ordinary way. And I'm open to that growing. What becomes possible when my own voice is the most trusted one in the room? And who do I get to be when I stop outsourcing that? All right, I want you to take a nice deep breath. Mm. We can let what's true for somebody else be true for them. We can let what's true for us be true for us. All right, I want you to think about trusting yourself, trusting your own read, how we talked about at the beginning, right? Without running it past everyone or anyone else first. How hard does that feel right now in this moment? 0 to 10. 10 is the hardest, 0 is the easiest. Look at that number, look at your first number, and I want you to see that as information, right? Whatever your number did, went up, went down, stayed the same, it's information, okay? It's data. And depending on what happened, there's different things that we can conclude, right? But I want you to comment and I want you to tell me the number that you started with, the number that you're at now, and anything that surfaced, aha moments, phrases that really resonated, just something that came to you while that was going on, maybe even a memory, something like that. Feel free to drop that in the comments and we can chat about it more. I will read every one of these, and what shows up in the comments often helps me build the next thing that I share with you. So please share and keep tapping. Thanks for watching.